Alright, this is a quick little video to kind of assist with the process of using the TI-83 to find a linear regression line. This is number 23 from the suggested homework. So it's basically a procedural type video, so we can kind of work our way through and see. Alright, so first thing is we want to make sure we turn our diagnostics on. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our catalog, I think is the easiest way. So we press second, catalog. And now if you notice up here at the top, it's got this little A at the right hand corner. What that A means is that you have your alpha lock on. So if I type the letter D right now, it'll take me to the D's. At this point, the easiest way is just arrow down now to diagnostics on. There we are. Press enter to select diagnostics on. And one more time, press enter on your keyboard to turn that on. So that's actually engaging the process of turning that application on, the calculator. Alright? So now we need to take this data. To do a linear regression, we need to take the data and put it into our list. So our stat key will take us to our edit command for our list. So in our edit command, we press enter. And I've already tested this out one time. I'll go ahead and re-enter the data for one of the lists, to kind of let you see the process. So let's just say that I don't have my X's, my temperatures. I don't have those in, so let's go over and let's say I have to clear a list. So I go on top of L1. See how I'm sitting up here in bold? I press clear. Don't press delete. Delete will actually remove that, and if you do that, let me know and I can kind of give you some commands on how to bring it back. So I press clear, and then I press enter. And that will engage the actual clearing of that list. Okay, so now I type in my data, so I've got 86, 81, 83, 89, 80, 74, and 64. One thing you always want to do when entering data into a list is the easiest way to double check is you count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You look over here and you can see that that's saying list 1 number 8. So if I go up 1, I've got list 1 number 7, so you can see I have 7 numbers in my list. Once you have your data in both your L1 and L2, you want to go back to your home screen. To get to your home screen, you press second, mode. And what mode does is you're getting that quit right there above the mode, and that takes you back to your home screen. Next command, we need to complete our linear regression line. So we go to stat, we scroll over to calc. Once you're in your calc menu, we're looking for linear regression. Now there's two different linear regressions, and really, to be honest with you, either one will actually work. But what we're going to choose is we're going to go down to, we could use number 4. But for whatever reason, mathematicians tend to use number 8. And so it's just the one that's generally recommended. I don't know the reasoning behind that. I apologize, but if you have any questions, I can look into why it is. Okay, we choose that. And now we need to tell it what we're going to take a linear regression of. So we put our data in L1 and L2. So we're going to do a linear regression of L1. Well, if you'll notice, L1 is in blue down here above the number 1 key. So if we press second, 1, that gives us our L1. Then we hit comma, and now we need to tell them the other list that we want to put in. So we hit second, L2. There's one other cool little trick that you can do at this point, and that is that if you needed to see the graph of this linear regression, what you could do is you could go ahead and put it into your y equals. So I'll just show you that command just so you know how to get it in the future. You go to vars, and we go over to y vars. And at that point right there, what you're doing is we're going to choose function. We want to choose function y1. So, oops, and I forgot to put something in there. So let me just arrow over. I forgot to put my comma, and I'll insert a comma. So now what it's saying is I want to do a linear regression of L1 and L2, and I want to put my equation in y1. Once you have that all set up, you just press enter. And what it does is it goes through there and actually gives you the actual data values for the A and for the B, and it tells you the correlation coefficient. This R squared and this R, those are showing up because of the fact that we have turned on the diagnostics. And so what we can look here and say, okay, our R squared, our correlation coefficient, is 0.78, a positive 0.78. So it means we have a pretty strong positive relationship. A perfect relationship would be 1, so 0.78 is pretty good. And that's kind of always important to take a look at. So what we have at this point is we have our equation. Y is equal to, remember it's in the format of A plus B times X. So that means we have Y equals my A, which we'll just say is negative 0.899, plus my B, which is 0.1448 times X. So this is the equation that we've been given, okay, that we've calculated on the linear regression. Now, if we want to go and look at that, what we can do is, as you can see, they've taken that, and let me just delete that real quick. Okay? And they've taken that and they've placed those data values into the equation for y1. So what I did was I hit the y equals button, and they basically took the whole entire decimal expansion and placed it in there. Okay? And I got there by hitting y equals. So if I wanted to see what that graph looked like, I could go ahead and take a look at my window, and I could graph that and kind of get an idea of what was going on with my data. Okay, I don't have my stats plotted right now. I'll go ahead and do that just real quickly. That's not part of that's a previous section, so I will do a stat plot for this just real fast. And we'll do zoom stat. So there we go. So that's what we're looking at here. These are our temperatures. That's our daily temperature with the number of rainfall. Daily temperature, number of rainfall, and so forth. And so you can kind of see how the linear regression line splits those data points down the middle. Now, so the question at this point, the first one is what's the equation of the regression line? Bingo, there it is in that box. The second question is what happens if we evaluate this function? What happens if we take this function and we evaluate it for a 70-degree day? Because now we want to be able to make predictions. So what that basically means is we're going to take this generic equation and we're going to multiply it by that 70 degrees. We're going to plug in for that x, we're going to plug in the 70 degrees. So you can do that by hand, and take your calculator and calculate it. The other thing you could do is that you could go and you could actually insert the data into your table. And so if we go second table, at this point you can see, I could scroll all the way down until I got to x equals 70. And that would take me a second. But the other way to set up my table is if you notice here above the window key, it says table set. So if I hit second table set, what I can do is, there's a couple things. I could just start my table at 70, so I could just say 70 right there, and it would start off at 70. Or I could start it at 1, and I could change my independent variable. My independent variable being my x, and my dependent variable being my y. Some of the vocabulary probably coming back. I could change that to ask. So when I go back to my table, you'll notice my table is blank now. Because what it's looking for is it's looking for me to type in x's. So I type in 70, and it tells me that for this function, evaluated at 70 degrees, we will get a temperature, the average monthly precipitation, will be 1.1426, and that's in inches. And so that's what we're looking for here. That's basically that new data value. So just like if there was 81 degree average temperature for the day, then our monthly precipitation would be 0.18, and it just continues like so. So that's the process of finding your linear regression line and then making a prediction based upon that regression line.